So in one of my videos from last year, it was called like Lisp in 2024. Somebody put in the comments like, can you do more Lisp content? So I do want to do more Lisp content mixed in with some other projects, but just for the record, like at work I do still some C for embedded, and then C++, and then I'm starting on Rust, and then of course Python. But Lisp still is just completely intrigues me. That's what I do like at home. I spend a lot of time doing Lisp at home. And I kind of I left out some important details the last video. So Lisp in 2025, some key things that I left out is that Lisp is still the most interactive computer language, even compared to modern things that have REPLs. It's still the most interactive. I mean, some other things like MATLAB come close, and notebooks, like there's Jupyter notebooks, but before that there's Mathematica notebooks. And those are like interactive in their own way. But in terms of just like completely iterating on the Lisp, in the Lisp environment, that's still the most interactive thing. So that was one thing I wanted to say. The other thing I want to say is, to understand Lisp, you have to think about it as a bottom-up language. One thing I like to do at home is, so that I don't get discouraged with kind of the lack of libraries in Lisp, or like kind of lack of functionality, only relative to today, to like things like Python and Java. So that I don't get discouraged with that compared to Lisp, what I'll do is I'll write a bunch of my own Lisp functions. I organize those in a Lisp package, and then those are like my low-level layer, and then you build up bottom up, and then until you like have like useful functions, just like any language. But what I'll do is I'll make a super high level like function. So I can like just come home, throw up the Lisp, editor. I use Emacs and Slime, and then I'll type something, and like Lisp, every function's like kind of in parentheses, and so I'll just type that one thing, and then it'll do a bunch of stuff. Like I now have a Unix package. I call it Unix, but it's for Linux. And like I have things in there, like I have one that will play a sound on Linux. So play a sound file, like a WAV file. I have one that will play like animated GIFs. And then I'll even have like a sound, just a function that just plays a certain sound hard-coded. And it'll be like from a video game or something. And that way, like when I load up all my packages automatically when I start up my Lisp environment, as I'm coding like new code and writing new functions, I can just like type this function like play sound, whatever, and I have a bunch of video game sounds like a soundboard, and then it'll just like play that. Or I have one called Nedry, and I'll just type Nedry in parentheses, and it'll pop up that little GIF of Dennis Nedry in Jurassic Park. And then so like it's just kind of showing you that Lisp is a bottom-up language, and then you like build up this functionality. And then so in terms of my Unix package, I have things like some of these are from the book Practical Common Lisp. All of his like file and directory functions I have coded and integrated into my package. So I'll have like walk directory. So you apply a function as you're walking through a directory, just like Python, OS walk or whatever. But then I have other ones, and then I have the code, so I can make it behave like I want it to behave exactly. And that's like the whole point, right? Of why would we want to write our own code? You can argue like, well, you're reinventing the wheel. Why do you want to, do this? But there's also power in like, well, no, I'm always doing this gymnastics with my file system, so I want it to behave this way. So anyway, those are just 2 points I want to make. Lisp is still probably the most interactive programming language, and then it's a bottom-up programming language. So you're building up your functionality, and then like I said, if you're getting into Lisp in 2025, make sure to build up some like super high-level things so that you can just have fun on the in the REPL.